capitals to celebrate the final day of 7-day faculty development program on outcome-based education, a road ahead to advance educational quality and enhance global mobility. I, with this note of welcome, also express my sincere thanks to all our dear participants for journeying with us throughout these 7 days, making it a most successful and a memorable one. Welcome is the expression of excitement and vigor. I call on Dr. K. Tenmoli, IQSC member, to extend her welcome and introduce the guest of the day. Ma'am, please.
Thank you, ma'am. A warm welcome and respectful regards to all on this wonderful and beautiful evening. I deemed it honored and privileged to welcome you all on the 7th day of the Faculty Development Program on OBE, Road Ahead to Advance Educational Quality and Enhance Global Mobility, jointly organized by Internal Quality Assurance Cell and Curriculum Development Cell of Kongunad Arts and Science College, Coimbatore. First and foremost, at this outset, I record my deep sense of gratitude to our most esteemed President, Dr. M. Archami sir and Dr. C. A. Vasuki madam, Secretary of our college, for their unstinted support and inspiration in all our endeavors. At this outset, with immense pleasure, I welcome our most respected principal, Dr. M. Lakshmanaswamy sir, to this great event. Welcome you, sir. With great privilege, I accord my heartful welcome to our today's resource person, Dr. Prashant R. Nair sir, Vice Chairman, IQSC, Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham, deemed to be University, Coimbatore, who is about to share his valuable insights on attainment of COS, POS, and mapping. I take immense pleasure in welcoming you, sir. With great pleasure, I am very much delightful in welcoming Dr. P. Sujata Madam, IQSC Coordinator, Dr. S. R. Madan Shankar Sir, Dean Academics, Dr. S. Palsami Sir, Dean R&D, Dr. M. Murugeshan Sir, Controller of Examinations, Dr. R. Sendulkumar Sir, Librarian, and Deans of various disciplines. A warm welcome to you all. It's my great pleasure to extend a cordial welcome to all the heads of various departments and faculty members from our own institutions and various other institutions to this momentous occasion. Welcome you all. Now, it's my great privilege to introduce our today's resource person, Dr. Prashant R. Nair sir. He is presently serving as a Vice Chairman, IQSC, and Associate Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Amrita School of Engineering, Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham, deemed to be University, Coimbatore. He is an excellent teacher and a very good researcher. He has over 20 years of experience in teaching, research, consultancy, and academic administration. He was a recipient of Erasmus Mundus Fellow. He has served as an academic programmer at University of California, San Diego, and Sofia University, Bulgaria. He has authored 6 books, edited 2 books, 1 book chapters, and published over 50 research articles in well-reputed journals. He has mentored student teams, which has won premier international and national competitions like Smart India Hackathon, Rajasthan Hackathon, TCS Digital Twin Challenge. He has also represented India as a part of National Hackathon team for Singapore India Hackathon, felicitated by our Honorable Prime Minister of India, Sri Narendra Modi ji. He has been enlisted and ranked as the top innovation mentor in India by Atal Innovation Mission. He has served as a regional mentor for Tamil Nadu and coordinates various Atal Innovation Mission activities. He has made a significant contribution and has been serving as a coordinator, Vice Chairman, Chairman for Internal Quality Assurance Cell, Amrita Deemed University since 2009. We are very much fortunate to have such an immense personality amongst us. With this brief introduction, I now invite Professor Prasad sir to take over the session. Sir, please.
Yeah, thank you very much for the kind introduction. Respected President of the Kongunad Arts and Science College, the Principal, various Deans, Heads of Departments, and dear faculty members. At the outset, I thank you for this opportunity to be able to talk to you about this very topical point, that is the outcome-based education. I understand that you have gone through this, you have gone through 6 days of this seminar and this is like probably the fag end of it, and focusing on the attainment and how to do the mapping so as to speak. So basically I'll share some worksheets with you, and after the address, after giving you this how this mapping is done, give you a glimpse on how to do the attainment calculations, just to give you a glimpse of it and how it really happens. So let me just share my slide. Just hold on. I hope it's coming. Is my slide visible? Is my slide visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
it's visible.
Okay, thank you. With regard to the IQAC of Amrita Vishwavidya Peedam, it is almost 12 years since I took over as the vice chair of the IQAC, and 3 cycles of NAC accreditation we have completed. For a brief period, I also was the chair of the IQAC, because at that point of time, Vice Chancellor put me in charge of the entire thing. But then, as per the NAC guidelines, the Vice Chancellor is itself supposed to be the chair. So it flipped back to the Vice Chair role. We completed actually 3 cycles of NAC accreditation. As far as outcome-based education, we are slightly a late bloomer, because we were required to go for NBA accreditation as per the guidelines of the AICTE. And obviously, outcome-based education is the need of the hour. Now, whatever be the college, whether you are an engineering college, whether you are an arts college, whether you are a medical college, today UGC is expecting all institutions across the board, across the spectrum, to adopt what is known as an LOCF, or a Learning Outcomes Curriculum Framework. And which means that we are going for an outcome-based learning and outcome-based education, where we are focusing on the outcomes that our students are getting after the delivery of the course. And they have multiple flexible options in terms of choice-based credit system, electives, and so on and so forth. So today, the measurement of the outcomes has become very paramount. Whatever be the case, I think if I recall rightly, in 2015 or 16, UGC has sent a note to all universities in India, whether it is private university, deemed university, central university, government university. Everybody has to go for what is known as the LOCF, or the Learning Outcomes Curriculum Framework. And as a result of this, the OBE has become extremely important. Of course, outcome-based education has probably become very rampantly used in engineering colleges, mainly because of the compliance requirements. Today, if you are an engineering college, I don't know if MCA is available in Kongunad Arts and Science College, but if you are applying to AICTE without accreditation, you cannot increase the number of seats. You need an NBA accreditation. So probably engineering institutions have stolen a march over arts and sciences to go for outcome-based education and thereby secure the NBA accreditation. But today everybody is talking about it. I am aware that even the Medical Council of India, or the National Medical Commission, that is a new name for the Medical Council of India, even they are talking of how to have medical education outcome-based and so on and so forth. So this is the kind of situation that we are in today. Now, coming to the success of outcome-based education, the success of the entire LOCF, if you ask me, everything boils down to evidences, documents. So in any training program that I start, whether it is an IQAC, a NAC accreditation, an NBA accreditation, outcome-based education, this is my first point that I want to drive to anybody and everybody. So this is borrowed from a statistical, statisticians may understand this, but I have kind of slightly added my own spin to this. In God we trust, but for everything else we need data. And that data needs to be supported by evidence. I will repeat, in God we trust, but for everything else we need data, and that data needs to be supported by evidence. We are in a situation where anything and everything we need to keep proper documentation. And I know, I'm aware that, Kongunad has an excellent NAC accreditation and an excellent score. I cannot, after the new NAC philosophy of evidence-based quantitative metrics has come, everything and anything is boiling down to accreditation. So what I want to try to impress upon you is that outcome-based education also requires the foundation of clear and concise evidences and documents. If you do not have the document, you have a course file. Now you may be conducting several exercises, you may be conducting a periodical exam, quizzes, project, mini project, whatever you do, you need to have proper documents, data, and the data needs to be supported by all kind of evidences required. And the success of OBE squarely lies with the kind of evidences that we have. So this is something, like a cardinal principle that you need to follow for any outcome-based education. Now, coming to the mapping, I'm not going to repeat many of these things because I know that you have already gone through all these things. But quickly speaking, what do you mean by a course outcome? How do you map a course outcome to a program outcome? What is the logic? What is the understanding? What is the rationale by which you are doing some kind of mapping between a CO to a PO? Now, you have already, I'm not going to repeat, but I'm sure you know what a program outcome is, you know what a course outcome is. Just to rewind refresh your knowledge, the course outcome is basically what you gain out of the course in terms of the evidence of the knowledge, the skills, and the attitudes or attributes that are there in the course. It is recommended that for every course you have, say, 6 outcomes. And let me make it extremely clear, 6 outcomes does not mean 6 units. Many people make this mistake. The syllabus is not divided into course outcomes. The course outcome is what you gain out of the course. After doing this course, what can a student do? What can a student implement? So that is the meaning of a course outcomes. And program outcomes, if it is a BCom or a BBA or an MBA or an MCA or a BSc Computer Science or a BCA, whatever be the course, what are the program outcomes in the sense that after doing that course, what are the attributes that a student will have? And for understanding case, I'm just using the, just giving you a quick example of these are the general program outcomes that we use in engineering, but this is basically we can use a subset of this for the arts and sciences. One is knowledge, analysis of problems, designing and development of solutions, investigation of complex problems, using tools, software, methodologies, methods, how the program that you are studying is in relation to the society, how the program is connected to the environment and sustainability, how there is an ethical dimension in the program, how the program helps one to develop oneself as well as in teams, how there are communication methodologies and exercises to improve the person's communication, how one goes for project management and finance, how one goes on lifelong learning. This 12 is a superset. As for whatever be your program, you can adopt a subset of these. Now, for an MBA program, these are some POs, knowledge, critical thinking and analytical thinking, leadership, teamwork and individual work, and responsibility and authority. So it depends, whatever be the program, you have some program. Now, how do you map this course outcome to the program outcome? Suppose you have 6 program outcomes. Suppose you have 12 program outcomes and you have 2 program specific outcomes, that is specific to that program. Obviously, you have a BCom, it will have some program outcomes specific to BCom, specific outcomes. There you have a BA English literature, the PSO or the program specific outcomes will be different. An MCA, it will be different. A BCA, it will be different. And how do you do the mapping? Now, the mapping happens in 2 ways. There are 2 matrices that have to be made. The first matrix is what is known as a program articulation matrix. Program articulation matrix and course and articulation matrix. Now, the program articulation matrix is basically a mapping of the course as a whole to the program outcome. So suppose you are having a BCom. A BCom may have 6 semesters, 6 into 6, 36, 6 into 5, 30 courses, and say 10 practical. So 40 courses are there. You take every course of the BCom and map to the POs. Whatever POs you have. Suppose for BCom, I don't know, you may have 9 POs and 1 PSO, or you may have 7 POs and 2 PSOs. So the course as a whole, you are mapping, that is the meaning of a star, means you are mapping the course as a whole to one of the program outcomes. And this is a kind of a course as a whole mapping. But from here, you cannot do what is known as the calculation or attainment. This is only a philosophical kind of grounding where you are mapping the course as a whole to the POs. Now comes to the important part. Now you are mapping what is known as the course outcomes to the program outcomes. Now here what you have is, you have so many courses. Each course may have course outcomes. If you take this example, analysis of structures, there are only 2. This is just for simplistic purpose to consider this. Analysis of structures has 2 COs and you are mapping to this PO 1 to 12 and there may be 1 or 2 PSO. Now you may ask, what is this 3 to 1? 3 means a strong mapping, 2 means a medium mapping, and 1 means a weak mapping, a small light mapping, and dash means a don't care condition. Now you may ask, how do you decide this 3 to 1? The answer is purely based on the judgment. Judgment and experience, that is the only way we do this mapping. So you make this course articulation matrix. You list down all your courses, list down the course outcomes of all your courses and map to the POs or the program outcomes and the PSOs or the program specific outcomes. So if you take analysis of structures, right? This CO1 is only mapping to knowledge and problem analysis. The others, it is not at all mapping. That is why it is a don't care condition. Like that, you do this for the entire program that you are doing. You have got what is known as a course articulation matrix. I hope you get you got what I am telling. Now this is the course articulation matrix. Here all the course outcomes of all the courses are mapped to the POs and the PSO. Whereas this is a program articulation matrix where the course as a whole is being mapped to the POs. But this is only a philosophical reference. What we need and which we will use for the calculation is this course articulation matrix, where we have mapping the COs and the POs with the degree of mapping. So this is how the mapping is how. Now coming to the course outcomes. How do you design a course outcome? I have already told you course outcome is not first unit, second unit, third unit, fourth unit. Now this is a very poor example of the course outcome where somebody for this physics course has simply added the first unit, second unit, third unit, fourth unit and fifth unit and mapped it to the COs. You can just read it. It is very clear that it is so. Now just go through this, you will find out. First unit is quantum mechanics, second unit is crystallography, third unit is something to do with Fermi energy, fourth unit is laser physics, fifth unit is vibration. Now and everything you have already, I'm sure many of the speakers have talked about the Bloom's taxonomy. All this is at the lowest level of the Bloom's taxonomy. All of them are lying at this understand stage. Now we need to move to a higher stage. We need to move to a higher stage of Bloom's taxonomy. We need to go from understand and remember to having applying concepts, analyzing and making new, analyzing, evaluating, creating, exploring and so on. And when you are writing the CEO, obviously you need to use these kind of action verbs. Action verbs should be, or words should be, create, plan, revise, analyze, design, select, compile, identify, demonstrate, prepare, all these at a higher level. So this, I'm sure you have already gone through this, but for the sake of understanding, we have, I wanted to repeat this. Now look at this CEO. It is very, very efficient, very good, because most of the things are at a higher Bloom's taxonomy. Apply, analyze, apply physics, analyze elements, design compression, conduct experiments, prepare lab report. Now where is the first unit? Where is the second unit? Where is the third unit? Where is the fourth unit? There is no mention about any unit here at all. It is what a student will get when he goes through the strength of materials course. At the end of the course, what he can do, he can apply the laws of physics and compute different types of responses in the material. I don't know what it is. This is something to do with civil engineering. But what I'm trying to tell you is that there is no unit 1, unit 2, unit 3, unit 4, unit 5. It is absolutely absent. It is only the knowledge, the skill, and what kind of attributes one can get out of this course. Designing elements, conducting experiments. So there is no unit 1, unit 2, unit 3, nothing. And how there is also a mapping to the POs. Now, how do you do this mapping? I already told you. Now, I also told you that how do you do this mapping? I have told you the answer is judgment and experience. There is no, it is not a rocket science. Mapping a course outcome to a program outcome is not rocket science. It is simply a judgment by the teacher which comes through the experience. The more the number of times you take the course, the more you understand the course, you are able to do a better mapping as we move forward. It is as simple as that. Now you can employ a kind of a trial and error method. Now this is just an example. Of course, this is a it's a trial and error example. So I don't. It's an engineering example. I'm not going to explain, but I'll just tell you what you do. You take the CEO1. You take the now you are looking at 12 POs. So you have a feeling that it is mapping to PO1 and PO2. PO1 is knowledge. PO2 is analysis. Now, how do you do a mapping? It is a trial and error judgment. Okay, CO1 has something to do. Are you leveraging the knowledge in this course? Yes. So that means it is going to CO1 and 2. The next thing you can do is you can see how what are the kind of assessment tools that are there. So for CO1, what are the assessment tools? The assessment tool may be a mini project. A mini project may be one of the assessment tool. Then which all does this assessment tool map to? So it is basically a judgment. At the same time, how do you get this 3, 2, 1? It is a judgment, but you also look at what the CO is, how you relate to the POs on a trial and error basis, on a judgment basis, as also how do you see the evaluation instruments. So if the evaluation instrument also plays a very important role in terms of the mapping. So if you have so many tests, it's quite likely that it will map to 4. If you have assignments, it may map to many. Like that, you have to make these 2 charts, and then using your judgment, you make what is known as this kind of chart with respect to the COPO curricular mapping. Now, I don't want to use this example, but it is something to do with engineering. But basically what is happening is it's a trial and error. You're taking CO3, you are taking CO3. What is CO3? What is the knowledge needed for CO3? What are the assessments, evaluation methodology? Does it correlate to the CO? What kind of exercises can be given, and based on that you do a mapping. That's, I'm not taking this engineering example. Now coming to the attainment calculation, I'm stopping this and sharing a different screen. Let me just open the other. Okay. How do you do the attainment calculations? Now, how do you do a CEO attainment calculation? Is the new screen available? 15 CSE 336 biometrics. Are you able to see this? Excuse, audience, please confirm if you are seeing a screen. I'm not getting any response. Are you able to hear me? Madan sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Are you able to see a screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So with this presentation, I'm just going to give you a glimpse on how the attainments are calculated vis-a-vis the course outcomes. Now we have already seen there is a course. This is some. It's a biometrics course. It's a mix of some biology is there, some computer mathematics is there, some statistics is there, some computer is there. So it's a mix of, it's a very interdisciplinary course with so many concepts that are there. So for this there are some tools, some software being used. Then we are also learning the biological aspects, the physiological, biological aspects. So just look at that. And 5 COs are there. How do you calculate the attainment for the 5 COs? Now there is also an evaluation pattern. I mean, this is because of the corona period. It's a little pandemic period. It's a little lopsided. But there is a periodical test 1. There is a periodical test 2. That is 25 plus 25. There is a continuous assessment, which is basically quizzes, assignments, and so on. Problem exercises, and finally there is an end semester evaluation, a quiz or an exam, and a viva. So how do you do this? How do you calculate the, now remember there are 5 course outcomes. How do you do this? For the periodical test, for every question in the periodical test, you find out which that question is mapping to the CO. So there are 17 questions in the periodical test, and each question is mapping. So first question is CO1. Now BTL is mentioned, but BTL is not factored into the calculation. It is only for the purposes of understanding. But first question 2 marks, first CO. Like that for every question. So for the entire periodical 1, you have CO1 of 20 marks. You have CO4 of 24 marks and CO5 of 6 marks. That is 50 marks is distributed among 20, 24 and 6. So here in periodical 1, CO2 and CO3 is not at all come. It's not at all come, but only 3 COs are there. Now you have 50 marks. out of which CO1 is 20, CO4 is 24, CO5 is 6. Now you fix what is known as a threshold and a target. You decide my threshold is, you can start with a threshold of 50 marks, 50%, sorry, 50%. So that means for CO1, 10 out of 20 is the threshold. For CO4, 12 out of 24 is the threshold. CO5, 3 out of 6 is the threshold. Now you also fix a target. Target is the number of students. So if you have, say, 50 students in your class, 50% of that 50, that is your threshold. So 25 students. So how do you know that a student has attained CO1 in periodical 1? If out of your 50 students, 25 of them get 10 out of 20 for CO1, that means you have attained the CO1 for periodical 1. I hope I'm making it clear. Suppose you have CO4, you have 50 students. If 25 of them have got 12 out of 24 for all the questions in CO4, that means you have got CO4 for the periodical 1. CO5, if 25 students have got 3 out of 6 for the CO5, then you have attained the CO5 for the periodical 1 alone. So this is the basic how you get the attainment. Now you repeat this thing. Now if something has not attained in, say, CO1 to you, so the idea is there is a continuous feedback. After the periodical 1, you see the attainment, you find out whether CO1 has attained, CO4 has been attained, CO5 has been attained. You may find out that somebody has not attained CO4. Then you do an analytics and find out why this has happened, why it has not attained. See, if you see this, no, you have a plan of action. So periodical 1, CO1 and 4 have been attained. CO4, 5 has not been attained. That means 50% of the students have not got 50% of that mark for CO5. Why it has happened? You do an analytics and take a corrective action. This is the essence of the attainment calculation. Now you repeat this process for the periodical 2. Periodical 2, there are 13 questions. You are doing a mapping. CO1, there are only 2 questions. CO2 is 32 and CO3 is 16. Even if you ignore this, it doesn't really matter, but still CO3. Now again, what is the logic? If out of your class of 50, 25 of them get 16 out of 32 for CO2, you have attained. If 25 of them get 8 out of 16 for CO3, you have attained. If 25 of them out of 50 get 1 out of 2, you have attained. Same process you repeat for periodical 2. And again, you look at the attainment calculation. You can do this for your end semester exam and then you get the final attainment. You can factor the weight also. Say, if you take internal exam, this may be 20% of weight, 20%, 25%, 20%. You can find the attainment as a whole. You can find out that you can give a level. A level means you can say that, you know, a level of attainment you can define. So in some cases we define, say, 60 to 100 is level 3. 50 to 40 to 60 is level 2, and 0 to 40 is level 1. This is our own definition. But anything that is above 50 attainment, you can say that you have attained. And then you can also factor in the end semester exam with the weight and find out. You can combine the attainment. You can find out that for everything, all the places you have attained and the level is 3. Then you can have direct tool. I'm sure you have learned about the direct tools and indirect tools. You can maybe take 90% of the way for direct and indirect, and then combine that. You get the attainment calculation. After you get the attainment calculation, you are able to also do some observations and analysis. Now coming to the PO attainment. So CO, you have got the attainment for 5 COs. Now, how do you do the PO attainment? The same course articulation matrix. You take the attainment, this is of only of this course, like that you take the attainment of all the 30 or 40 courses that you have, find out which are the courses that are mapping to PO1, you get the numerator and the denominator, and from there you get the attainment. So this is the basic logic behind the PO attainment, and at the end you can make a course exit summary and find out that what happened in the course, where do you need to improve, and that course exit summary is given to the next person who's handling the course to complete the cycle of continuous improvement. This is the process of outcome based education. I can just show you some worksheets also. Are you able to see an Excel sheet? Audience, please confirm if you are seeing an Excel sheet.
Yes, sir. Yes, possible, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So there is now, this is how, I told the same thing that I showed you in the slide. This is periodical 1, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. This is, there are say 10 questions. You have got CO1 in 29 marks, CO2. Now for every student, how that student has performed in that question, you need that. From there only you are able, this is the worksheet for the OBE process. Then same thing for periodical 2, same thing for continuous assessment, how each student has performed in each question. That data you need. End semester also you need to take that, and finally you get an indirect attainment, that is basically a feedback. Some feedback you take, strongly agree, I was able to understand, I was able to attain the course outcome, I understood the CO well, like that you get this and do an analysis. This is what I showed you in the slide. CO1, what is the attainment? CO for P1, periodical 1, for periodical 2, for continuous assessment, for end semester, and this full worksheet for the entire. So here your this varies from university to university, college to college, it varies. Like that we get this, and finally you get the attainment. So this is the process by which we do the CO attainment, and then we escalate it to the PO attainment. I think that's all from my side. I'll be happy to answer any questions on OBE. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Over to the organizers. Yeah. Yeah, is there any questions? I'll be happy to answer.
Yes, sir. This is Radhika, sir.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Sir, actually, you told about the calculations. Can you just share that slide, sir? It went very fast.
Yeah. 1 minute. Just hold on. You mean calculation of that this thing, right? Yeah. 1 minute.
Yes, you. How many the students have scored? Like,
just hold on. 1 minute. Yeah. So. Yes, ma'am. This is the slide.
yes, sir. So you told like if it is Question, sir.
So your voice. Yeah. Somebody is talking, I think. Yeah. Are you able to see the slide?
Yes, sir, I'm able to see.
Yeah.
The earlier one. Before this, you showed a slide where you were. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So yeah, question: how much they have scored? Okay, okay,
Yeah.
sir. Okay. So this, for example, I've given a 5 marks question and they've scored 3.
Yeah.
So how I'm putting a percentage analysis of this?
No.
Is that
See,
possible?
no, you need an Excel sheet, like I told you. Okay, I'll share. I'll go to that slide. Just hold on. From here, you won't understand. Give me a minute, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
That is why I showed you that Excel sheet. So this with the worksheet will calculate all these things. So 1 minute. See, if you see this worksheet, no, what you need to do is, so there are these kind of inbuilt worksheets are there. So what happens is that you make a question paper, you take periodical one, you write the questions. There are say 10 questions. You map it to the questions to the CEO. Now for every student, you have to find out what the student has got. In question 1, he has got 2 out of 3. Question 3, he has got 3 out of 3. Question 2, he has got 2 out of 3. Question 4 is got 2. Like that you have to do for every single evaluation, and then from here based on this calculation it computes that attainment. Now actually some software also consider the BTL level, but here in this Excel sheet it doesn't compute the BTL level, because BTL is a very complicated kind of thing. But you can there are some commercial softwares that also factor the BTL level also. But this is the idea. Every student, how much they have scored, from there you will get the this thing. So you can find out the student 1 has scored 17 out of 29 in CO1. That means he has got more than 14.5 is this. He has got more. So he has attained. Here he has got 16 out of 21. Like that you have to calculate.
Fine, sir. Got it. Thank you, sir.
How will you fix the base?
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Am I audible, sir?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. You are audible.
Actually, this is what we have explained is OBE related to the cognitive domain. What?
Yeah. Oh, I lost you.
Consists of the 3 core elements of cognitive,
madam,
psychomotor, and affective domain.
Madam, I
At the end, we need to calculate.
I completely lost you in between. I could you spoke something, then it got cut. Can you repeat, ma'am?
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Can you repeat, because I lost you in between?
Oh, okay. So OBE, which consists of 3 domains, isn't it, sir? So, cognitive, psychomotor, and affective domain.
Yeah.
3 domain calculation we need to calculate to achieve the PEO level.
No. See.
So how do you find the entire calculations, psychomotor and cognitive one?
No, madam. As to my understanding, these things are factored into the questions that you are preparing, right? So whatever you said, the cognitive, psychomotor, this thing. See, these are as far as when we are doing this OBE calculation, we are only considering the marks. But having said that, whatever you are saying is factored into the question paper. So OBE, there are 3 wings. One is curriculum. You are making the best possible curriculum. The second thing is you are making the best kind of pedagogy, the methodology. And the third thing is the evaluation. So whatever you are telling has to be factored into the curriculum, into the evaluation methodology and the pedagogy. There only you can do this calculation. Otherwise, you cannot consider these things in the calculation. Otherwise, it will be highly complicated. From a practical standpoint, this itself is a little complicated. Why I will tell you, because if you have 60 students in the class, you have say 10 evaluation instruments. It could be 5 quizzes, 2 periodical. For every question, you need the marks. So this itself is a highly complicated procedure, which involves a lot of time for the faculty to find out this. And a software will only help you, but ultimately you have to physically put the value, right? So whatever you said can be factored into the exams, into the pedagogy and the evaluation. So we do not give any defined question. See, any course that you take, even if it is a theoretical course, I'll give you a simple example in computer science. Some of you will know software engineering. It's a management course that is taught for MCA, BCA, BSc Computer Science, MSc Computer Science, BTech, MTech Computer Science. It's a pure management oriented course. Now, what is the point in giving a definition? Explain waterfall model, analysis, design, coding, testing. Any Tom, Dick and Harry can do, but we don't ask those kind of questions at all. What we can do is use a case study of a company. You are building a software for a cement factory. Do an analysis based on this model. Like that we are putting the question. So the things that you said can only be put into the through the pedagogy and the examination. I hope I have answered your question, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That is a too complicated one.
It is not possible also. Time is also a constraint. Even this is highly complicated because faculty are all cribbing, for every student we have to look into the question paper, you have to find out what is code, but we can't help it. This is the only way. Even this is highly complicated, to be very honest with you.
Yes, sir. Okay. How many PSO we can have for the course, sir?
Madam, for one program, it is not advised. Madam, can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So for one program, there is no rule, but the recommendation is not to have more than 2 PSOs, and the POs, it depends. Not more than 2 PSOs are recommended. And one more thing, what they do is for the PSO, they generally try to map the PSO to the thrust area of the department. See, for example, you are having a commerce department. A commerce department, your faculty may have some research areas in commerce, and all your electives are focused on that research area. Same way. So ideally, the PSO should have a mapping to your expertise in the department, the research groups in the department. Depending upon that, you can do. But I don't think more than 2 is needed, 2 or 3. Even 3 is a slightly complicated thing. 2, people say don't have more than 6 CEOs. This is not a rule. It is only a rule of thumb, convention. There is no written rule. But there are people who come to me and say that, this is an experiential project. I have 8 CEOs. What do I do? Some cases it is unavoidable to have 8 CEOs. It is like that. The course is like that. But people say try to restrict it to 5 or 6. This is the general rule of thumb.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the explanations.
Welcome.
Sir, sir, am I audible?
Yeah. You are audible, sir.
Sir, how we can fix the base value for CO attainment?
See, that again is a judgmental decision. When you are starting outcome-based education, the safest bet is to start with a 50. It is always better to start with the 50 and 50 threshold and target, according to me, because now if it also depends upon the quality of students that you have. Suppose you don't have very good quality of students also, it's a challenge. But general rule of thumb is you start at a 50-50. After one batch is graduating, you can slowly kind of migrate to a slightly higher thing, what you do is start with 50-50 threshold and target. Then one year later, what you can do is you can say the lab courses or the practical courses the students are gaining. Then for all lab courses, you can maybe increase it to 55. Like that, it is an incremental growth. Now, having said that, many people question, you are getting the best students in the country. Why are you choosing a thing? My understanding is, if for a college as a whole, this is my understanding, my personal opinion, for a college as a whole, every department, all departments should follow the same logic. Otherwise, the whole thing goes for a toss. That's my personal understanding. If one department says, I will use 50-50, another says 60-60, then all this, you cannot have a common denominator. So if you are taking a policy decision, it is better to do across the board. So 50-50 is very, very conservative. Maybe moving ahead, you can go. But again, it depends upon your students. Now, I mean, after 3-4 years, we are now making it 60-60 for many of the courses. We are making it floating in some way and all. It depends.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Any more questions, please?
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Sir, how much K level obtained for a course, sir?
Come
K1,
again, sir?
K2. How much K level? K1, K2, lots and lots. Low order thinking.
No, I didn't understand.
K level, K level, sir. K1, K2, K3.
You mean the Bloom's level?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Bloom also, as I told you, if you factor the Bloom's taxonomy inside, see you can act. It's not a very big complicated thing, but when you add when you factor the Bloom's taxonomy, the weightage changes. So in terms of the attainment, also the weightage will change. So there is a software. There are some software solutions that have implemented the Bloom's taxonomy into the calculation. At present, we are not using it. We are only going with this basic thing because that is too complicated. In some cases, I am not able to find any correlation, to be very honest with you. So I find this itself to be highly difficult. See, at the end of the day, I have to get all my 350, 400 faculty to do this process, right? And all these faculty have got teaching load, lab load, administrative work, research targets. So I am going for to be very honest with you, a middle path where I am not making their life very difficult. So this is fairly accurate. I am not factoring this K. I call it L1, L2, L3. I am not factoring the L1, but the logic is like this. When you have higher Bloom's taxonomy, the weightage increases. This is the basic logic in the attainment.
Thank you, sir.
Wow, it's a capacity crowd, 275. My God.
Any more questions from participants side, please, before we wind up?
Okay, if there are no more questions, thank you very much. Thank you, Madan sir, for giving this opportunity.
Thank you, sir.
I'm not able to see the chat.
So please mention the software name, anyone of the.
Yeah, there is a software called InPods, INPODS. It's a little expensive, but it generally, it's at least the calculation are correct. There is no but the one that calculations for this thing is all there in that InPods. We had a software called Ample, but now I am told that InPods, correct. Our Amrita research, software development center was doing something called Ample. But last I heard that now it has been licensed to some company and we are now developing it separately. So I'll keep you posted. If that comes through, I'll inform you. But as of now, I am only aware of imports.
Thanks, sir.
I'm not able to get the chat. Why? Oh yeah, I got the chat. Yeah. I'm just putting my email ID. I've just dropped my email ID onto the to the chat, and this is my page. This is the name of my page on Facebook and YouTube. Prashant R Nair. PRASHANT space R space NAIR. So you can get my channel. It's a new channel. I just started it 6 months back. But some of my presentations, both technology and IQAC, NBA, NAC, OBE are all there for the benefit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for illuminating us with the mapping system and facilitating us to find the way through the cloud of doubts. Hope we will transcend through this phase to become an outcome-based educators. It's a time to say thank you from the bottom of our heart. In this regard, I now invite Dr. K. Murugeshan, Control of Examinations, Kongunadu Arts and Science College, to propose the vote of thanks. Sir, please.
Yes, madam. Good evening to one and all. Be thankful to what we have. We will end up having more. I deem it an honor to propose vote of thanks to those who have directly and indirectly contributed to the success of this 7-day faculty development program. OBE, Road Ahead to Advance Educational Quality and Enhance Global Mobility. I would like to thank Almighty God for His blessings for the fruitful completion of this program. Our most honorable Secretary and Director, the Patron and the Lifeboard of our college, Dr. C.A. Vasuki Madam, has proved herself as an epitome for the other to follow. It is under her leadership and enthusiastic guidance our college has achieved golden accolades. I have to mention her stimulating encouragement in processing this program. Thank you, madam. Next, I would like to thank our respected principal, Dr. Lakshmanasamy sir, for his being a strong pillar of support and reassurance in all our activities, and for offering your appreciation for this faculty development program. Thank you, sir. The main objective of this faculty development program was to highlight the application of OBE in the teaching and learning methods. The process started rightly the first speaker of this program, Dr. A.T. Bakshi, PDM University, Haryana, who inaugurated the faculty development program, and Dr. B.S. Ponmudiraj, advisor, NAC, Bengaluru, who delivered the special address. Most acclaimed academicians from the various parts of our country, like Dr. B. Vanitha, Secretary, KG College of Arts and Science, Coimbatore, Dr. M.G. Seturaman, Controller of Examinations, Gandhigram Rural University, Dindigul, Dr. Shivani Patel, Professor and Head, Department of Biotechnology, Atmiya University, Gujarat, Dr. S. Armugam, Chair, School of Physics, Department of University, Tiruchirappalli. Then Dr. Vimal Rao, Senior Faculty, Department of Chemistry, SGTB, Khalsa College, Delhi. Then finally, Dr. Prashant R Nair, today's speaker, Vice Chairman, IQAC, Amrita Vishwavidyabedam, Coimbatore. delivered their ideas on the implementation of OBE in the curriculum. I take this opportunity to thank each and every one of their effort to provide a fluid picture on the topic and clarifying our queries in utmost satisfying manner. Our special appreciation goes to the IKC coordinator, Dr. P. Sujata, and Dean Academic, Dr. M. Madan Shankar sir, for their productiveness and unflinching support and coordination to organize this program magnificently. My heartfelt gratitude to the members of IKC and the organizing committee who worked hard in accomplishment of this program. I should acknowledge their dedication and sincerity towards the fulfilling their duty, even though it was not an easy task. Thank you, Anandal. I would like to appreciate the role of Dr. Palsami sir, Dean R&D, librarian Dr. Sindil Kumar sir, and Dean School of Commerce Dr. Jay Kumar sir, Dean School of Computer Science Dr. Maithili madam, and our own faculty members Dr. Vivek Prabhu, Dr. Kadivel Kumaran, and Dr. R. Karthik for their excellent technical support extended for the successful conduct of this faculty development program. Without those team, work this would be distant dream. Yes. Once again, thank you all. Next, I would like to thank all the faculty members from various institutions across the country and from our own institution who are benefited from this program. And I am sure that each of you will apply the techniques of OBE in your day-to-day teaching and learning methods. Thank you all. Last but not least, my grateful thanks to Dr. Eugenia for well-organized Master of Ceremony. I conclude my words anticipating your cooperation in all the forthcoming programs too. Once again, thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The word thank you.
Thank you, madam.
The word thank you never suffice to express our gratitude for making the 7-day faculty program a grand success and a new milestone to achieve in the history of Kogunadu Arts and Science College. I hope that this is the time for implementing all our inputs we have received throughout 7 days, and the time has come for us to depart. On reaching to this point of denouement, I wish you all success to travel ahead in advanced educational quality on mobilizing at global level. I thank each one of you, participants, speakers, and organizers from the bottom of my heart for such a wonderful 7-day experience. Thank you all. Dear participants, you will be receiving your certificates within 7 days, and kindly mail to us to the ID that is posted in the chat for any further queries. Thank you one and all. Thanks.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, Madan Shankar, and thank you, Dr. Sujata. And blessings to all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Prashant sir, thank you so much.
Yeah, sure, sir. Madan sir, thank you. Thank you, Murugeshan sir. Thank you.
Hope to meet you soon as well.
Thank you, Prashant sir. Thank you for your presentation.